My name is Carla Cox, Diabetes Care and Education Specialist, Registered Dietitian Nutritionist, and your host for today's program. Our Ask the Expert series is all about answering questions from our listeners, so start getting your questions ready. For those of you on the phone, press *3, that's *3 on your keypad, and an operator will collect your question and place you in a queue so that you can have the opportunity to ask your question live. To participate online, type in your name and question in the fields below the streaming player. Press the Submit Question button, and your question will come directly to us. Stay with us throughout the hour, and you will learn useful tips to help you live well on your journey with diabetes. In addition, we invite you to provide us with your feedback in a survey at the end of the event. So please stay with us. Okay, now a little bit about why we're here today. Because of the link between diabetes and heart health, the American Diabetes Association, in collaboration with the American Heart Association, has launched No Diabetes by Heart. With support from founding sponsors Novo Nordisk, as well as national sponsor Bayer, the No Diabetes by Heart initiative provides tools and resources for people living with type 2 diabetes to learn how to reduce their risk of cardiovascular disease. As part of the initiative, the ADA is holding this free educational Q&A once a month. We'll cover information and tips to help you take charge of your health. When you have diabetes, it increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, and kidney disease. Make sure when you see your doctor, you talk about your risk and work towards prevention, and visit nodiabetesbyheart.org for more information and resources. I am delighted to introduce our guest speaker today, Gary Shiner. Gary is owner and clinical director of Integrated Diabetes Services, a practice located just outside of Philadelphia, specializing in intensive insulin therapy and advanced education for children and adults. Gary has been a certified diabetes care and education specialist for 27 years and has had type 1 diabetes for 35 years. Gary was named 2014 Diabetes Educator of the Year by the American Association of Diabetes Educators. He has written 6 books, including the bestseller Think Like a Pancreas, a practical guide for managing diabetes with insulin. He lectures nationally and internationally for people with diabetes, as well as professionals in the healthcare industry. Gary works virtually with insulin users all over the world. Hi, Gary. It's great to see you. Why don't you give
Carla.
us a little more update? What else can you tell us?
Well, I guess I'm an athlete wannabe. I work out a lot. It's kind of a passion of mine. I have a master's degree in exercise physiology, so that's kind of carried over. I love to play basketball. I'm not good. I don't pretend to have any real talent, but I love to play. So everything else I do is just to keep myself in shape so I can keep playing basketball. So I do some running and cycling and weightlifting and a few other things, but the basketball is really my passion. I still love playing. And, my life goal is to be able to at least make a foul shot when I turn 100.
It's a great goal. Thank you. As we're waiting for our callers and online listeners to chime in, I'm going to go ahead and kick off with the first question. What is the most common barrier to being active? I think most people know they should be.
I think the most common barrier is people thinking they have to do more than they have to. You always think of, exercise, where I have to work up a sweat and it's got to hurt. I got to do it for a long time, that sort of thing. Physical activity can take the form of working around your own yard. It can take the form of doing housework. It can take the form of dancing. It can take the form of just going for a walk, going shopping. So when we talk about physical activity, it's just moving your body. It doesn't have to involve treadmills and stationary equipment and things like that. Just about anything you do, for at least several minutes at a moderate pace qualifies. It brings a lot of health benefits.
So I think sometimes people think of exercise as a bad word, and if we use activity, maybe that's, as you're mentioning, more like it. Is that true?
Yeah, you're having fun, or you're doing something productive. One of the reasons we have such a problem in this country with obesity and people being overweight, etc., we have all these labor-saving devices now. It takes away from the physical activity we would normally get. 100 years ago, people would farm their own land and build their own homes, and we don't do things like that anymore. We sit in cars and buses and trains to get where we want to go. We have other people do those kind of labor-intensive tasks for us a lot of times. Not many people get enough work on their job to get the physical activity that's necessary to stay healthy. So we have to be creative and find ways to do it. We've got to look for opportunities to be moving, keep our bodies active. There's I was parking in downtown Philly recently, and I was in a loading zone. The parking police were kind of strolling around, and he said to me, "Move it or lose it." I knew he was going to tow me if I didn't move my car. But I love that phrase, "move it or lose it." It really applies to those of us with diabetes also. If we're not physically active, our body's going to it's going to start to break down. An active body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest is going to stay at rest. And we want to be in motion and be in motion as much as we can be.
Thank you. So this is a good question to start with. This comes from Cheryl from Wisconsin. Cheryl, you're live. Cheryl, do you have a question?
Yes, is this my time?
Yes, it is.
Cheryl Ann calling from Boyceville. Yes, I'm wondering about exercising. And I'm wondering if that's something, is a physical exercise, horseback riding, snow shoveling, say going tobogganing in the winter, or skiing, or maybe even exercising with your water, with going swimming or fishing.
Mm.
Is that something that would help you with your mobility and your resilience?
Well, it sounds like most of those activities would qualify. Horseback riding can involve a lot of physical exertion, not just for the horse, but for the person on the horse. You're having to use your leg muscles and your back, and your arm muscles a fair amount. Anything that's using lots of muscles, especially the big muscles in the legs and the lower torso, anything that uses those muscles repetitively for a period of 10, 20, 30 minutes qualifies as, you want to call it exercise, I call it physical activity, but it qualifies. And just about everything you described qualifies. I don't know what part of Wisconsin you're from, but I got two sisters there, and I know you get your share of snow. And yeah, shoveling snow is a lot of exercise. You got to be careful doing that. That's can be very intense. But if you do it slowly and pace yourself, the intensity level of your activity should be at a moderate level. And there's all kinds of fancy techniques for monitoring heart rate and stuff, but I prefer to use a simpler approach to knowing if the activity level is at the right intensity. And it's called the talk method. If you're able to speak in short sentences without getting out of breath, that means you're not working too hard. But if you're able to sing while you're doing it, you're not working hard enough. You got to pick up the pace. So somewhere between singing and being out of breath, where you can really speak in short sentences comfortably, then you're at a pace that's reasonable for you.
Thank you. We have another question coming in from Pat. Pat is from Tennessee.
Hello.
Pat, you're on the line.
Yes, hi. I was just wondering, I know they're both important, the diet and exercise, but is one more important than the other? Because I do a lot of, sometimes I walk 4 or 5 miles a day on my Fitbit, but, not all at once. But I'm not too good. Like, I'm cutting back on my carbs, but I'm definitely not on a strict diet. I'm burning 2,000 calories a day, but I haven't lost a pound on the scale. So I don't know.
Pat, it sounds like you're doing a lot of the right things, and it doesn't always show up on the scale. You know, when you're physically active, you may be building a little bit of muscle. You may be building blood volume. Your bones may be becoming more dense and strong. So it doesn't always show up on the scale. You can often tell a little bit better by maybe how your clothes fit, how you feel physically. Those are often better indicators of whether you're getting in better shape than just looking at the scale. You can take a big muscular bodybuilder, put him on a scale, and it's going to say, wow, you're this big, you must be obese, but it could be really lean. So the scale is not always the best way to evaluate your fitness level. Next time you're at your doctor or even at your tailor, have them get out a tape measure, measure your waist circumference, your hip circumference, and then you could repeat that measurement in a few months and see if there's been some change. But I have a feeling if you keep up what you're doing, keep your carb intake modest, keep walking, keep yourself physically active, you'll see results. Again, it might not be on the scale, but you'll probably see results in your glucose levels, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your mood, your energy level. There's an infinite number of ways we benefit from being physically active. So keep it up.
Great advice. I think that is one of the frustrations. People exercise and expect to see the scale, the weight on the scale drop, and that just doesn't happen consistently unless they really stretch the exercise much more than they've done in the past, and then they might see some. But I think that is frustration, and I think well validated that other things are important too, like blood pressure and mood and cholesterol and those kinds of things. So good response. So this comes from Lil, and Lil is from Massachusetts. Lil, you're on the line.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I'm concerned because as the previous caller, I walk almost daily, and I cannot get my blood pressure down. Whatever time I take it during the day, it's always 160, 170, and I'm concerned about that. And I'm on Metformin as well. So the last person I saw wasn't my primary care, but she's an endocrinologist, and she said to double the Metformin. But it's still, and this has been going on since April, the numbers still haven't changed.
Well, Lil, metformin is a very helpful medication for several areas of diabetes management. It doesn't really affect blood pressure, though. You should really talk to your primary care doctor to see if you need a change in your medication for your blood pressure or an additional medication. There's a lot of things that affect blood pressure and can cause high blood pressure. Walking helps, because it helps keep your weight down, which helps lower blood pressure, and it keeps your blood vessels open and healthy. So that helps relieve blood pressure a bit also. But sometimes the walking can't do it by itself. Most people who have high blood pressure do need certain medications to manage it. So I'd highly recommend you talk to your primary care doctor or your family doctor about how to get your blood pressure down.
Great, thank you. So here is Melody calling in from Illinois. Melody, you're on the line.
Yes, thanks for taking my call. I have congenital heart problems and have been diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I'm 80 years old, and they say I need to exercise. But nobody is telling me, how hard, which you've sort of addressed already. But who can tell me how much I should do, how fast I should go, or is there really no way to tell?
Well, more power to you, Melody. I give you credit. You've made it 80 years. Hopefully, you'll make another 10 or 20. Do you have grandchildren or great grandchildren?
She is off the line.
Oh, she's off the line? Oh, I would have loved to have heard that. Sometimes just doing things with the little ones can be a form of physical activity. When my children were really young, we used to have dance parties, which was code for an hour of playing old music and dad throwing the kids around. That was my workout for the day. But, the whole notion of exercise needing to be at a certain level to qualify is nonsense. It's all in the eye of the beholder. So if Melody was to walk or swim or even do armchair activities that felt like a moderate pace to her, where she could still talk in short sentences, but was was challenging a little bit, she'd be benefiting as much as a world-class athlete who's running 6-minute miles and felt the same way. As long as it's moderately a little bit challenging to you, you're doing yourself good. You don't want to push yourself too much. When you get to that point where you can't speak and you're getting out of breath too much, you have to ease back. That's pushing yourself too hard, and that does more harm than good. But you do want to challenge yourself a little bit to stimulate the benefits that physical activity can provide. Armchair activities for people with lower limb problems, foot problems, congestive heart failure can really work well. And you can find armchair fitness activities where you do the exercise sitting in a chair. Sometimes there are props that you use, little tiny weights like cans and bottles and things like that. They're usually set to music and kind of upbeat and fun. But you can always find something you can do, regardless of your health conditions, is something you can find that's going to benefit you.
Great, thank you. I have a write-in question. It's stressed that you're supposed to do 150 minutes of exercise per week, but that can be broken up. So I think you've referred to this a little bit and how you've talked about what is activity, but can it be broken up into 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What's the general rule of thumb?
Well, the general rule, as far as what we call cardiovascular conditioning, is you really need to do at least 20 minutes or so to start experiencing benefits to your heart, lungs, circulatory system, things like that. You can do shorter bouts of activity. It can help, with blood sugars. It can help burn calories. But the real cardiovascular conditioning, you got to get up to at least 20 minutes or so. The 150-minute a week thing is, I think that's for people who are engaging in more aggressive exercise activities. You got to look for chances to be physically active throughout the day, every day. I think of physical activity like medicine for diabetes. It's a medicine that makes your insulin work better, helps you lose weight, improves your blood pressure, your mindset, your cholesterol levels. It does as much as a whole medicine cabinet full of drugs that have negative side effects and cost a fortune. So, think of physical activity as very powerful free medicine that's there for the taking. You just have to take it.
Thank you. We have a call coming in from Karen. Karen's from Massachusetts. Karen, you're on the line.
Oh, hello?
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
You're on the line.
Oh, okay. I thought when I talked, I was asking a lot of questions before. So I am on the low end of prediabetes, and I do a lot of reading. And when I'm reading about, most of it is diabetes, I don't know how much of it is really appropriate for prediabetes, the information I'm getting. An important question I want to ask is the do's and don'ts of exercise. I was doing 5-pound hand weights, but I thought I read something that's not a good idea to do in the morning or do lighter weights. So I don't know what to believe as far as like the do's and don'ts of exercise, as far as the timing, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and if your response will be just for diabetes or pre-diabetes. I don't know how to, if what I'm reading is just the diabetes, or if it relates to prediabetes as well.
Wow, Karen, I could spend the better part of a week just answering those points you just brought up, but I'll try to discuss a few of them. Prediabetes simply means that your blood work just hasn't met the exact criteria yet for a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. However, it's abnormal and it's on the way. I often tell people being pre-diabetic is like being pre-pregnant. You've kind of made the commitment already. It's heading that way. Pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes both mean that your body is resistant to insulin. The insulin that you're producing just isn't able to work as well as it's supposed to. And it's caused by genetics. It's caused by some lifestyle issues, including inactivity. It's often caused by having too much body fat as well. The physical activity part is paramount. Physical activity does more to reverse insulin resistance than anything else you can do. There's an immediate benefit. You become more insulin sensitive the moment you become more physically active. So I would say, treat this as if you have type 2 diabetes, and the physical activity will help. The do's and don'ts, it's a very individualized thing. What's right for some isn't ideal for others. When it comes to things like what time of day is best to be physically active, the answer is when you'll be able to do it regularly. That's the first and most important thing. If it doesn't really matter, if any time of day works for you, consider getting your activity after a meal. After meals, the blood sugar levels start to creep up. If you're physically active, you won't see as much of a rise. It helps keep the blood sugars closer to a normal range if you get that activity. 30, 60 minutes or so after you've had a meal is a good time to do it. But, if you're like one of our earlier callers, I think it was Melody, who has congestive heart failure, you would not exercise after meals. You're better off doing it first thing in the morning or before meals. The weights, strength training, resistance training is highly beneficial. It's a special form of physical activity that stimulates muscle development, muscle growth. For women, you're not going to build humongous muscles. The muscles you have will become stronger and firmer. Men have potential to build bigger muscles. But the benefit of adding muscle to your body is that your body becomes a more efficient machine in a way. It burns more calories all the time. It's kind of like a bank account. Right now, our savings accounts might give us 1% interest on our savings, but building muscle is like transferring your money to a bank account that pays 10% interest. It's free money. Because when you have a lot of muscle on your body's just burning extra calories even when you're at rest. So it's like a high interest account where you're just getting free money in return. And the muscle part of it is also beneficial for preventing falls. It's beneficial for looking good, having a tapered appearance. It's great for just performing daily functions independently at any age. So the strength training is a great thing to do. Doing it 2 or 3 days a week is best for most people. And if you meet with somebody either at a gym, they usually have trainers that can teach you, or you can talk to an exercise physiologist or a certified diabetes care and education specialist who has some fitness background, and they can give you some suggestions about specific activities you can do. You don't need expensive weight of any equipment to do resistance training. It can all be done with things you find around your house. Cans, bottles, rolls of coins, whatever has a little bit of weight to it and you can grip. That's fair game for using it for resistance. So that's a very beneficial thing for almost everybody to do. But I wouldn't ignore the aerobic activity, the cardiovascular activities as well. Things like the walking, cycling, swimming, dance, those types of things.
Thank you. If you're just joining us, welcome to today's Ask the Experts Q&A. Just do it. Being active may be the most important contribution to your health. As a reminder, for those of you on the phone, press *3, that's *3 on your keypad, and an operator will collect your question and put you in a queue so that you may ask your question live. To participate online, type in your name and question in the fields below the streaming player. Press the Submit Question button, and your question will come directly to us. Okay, so our next question. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. Joe from Seattle, Washington. Joe, you're on the line.
Oh, terrific. Thanks for taking my call. Some of my questions have been answered. I'm a swimmer. I swim at the minimum 4 times a week for the minimum 50 to 60 nonstop freestyle. I also walk when I don't swim, and my question is, do I need to be adding in strength type of building muscles? I'm 70 years old. It's been 8 months since I've been diagnosed, initially with type 2, and then the zinc transporter 8 came back 33.8, so they switched me to type 1. I am not on any insulin. My metformin has changed from 2,000 milligrams daily to 500. So I've got a lot of conflicting things going on. I did become COVID positive last January, and a few months after that is when my blood sugars were high. My BMI is good. It's 26. I am 5'6". There you have it.
Wow, Joe, you're doing a lot of great things. You know, when they said Joe was on the line, I thought, wow, we actually have a male caller, but no, the women are dominating the phone line today. But I thank you for checking in, Joe. Swimming is a great activity. You know, being in the water and the resistance that the water creates does have some benefits in terms of muscle development. It's not quite the same as doing specific resistance training exercises, either with hand weights or stretch, elastic bands, or even isometric types of exercise. So it would be beneficial to add some strength training at least a few times a week to what otherwise sounds like a wonderful workout routine that you've got going for yourself. I give you a world of credit for getting the activity on a daily basis, whether it's the swimming or the walking. Unfortunately, when you go a couple of days without much activity, the body's sensitivity to insulin starts to drop again. As soon as you get the activity, you become more insulin sensitive, but it doesn't stay that way for that long. You really need to be active on a daily basis to maintain that. And try not to miss more than one day at a time. It's interesting to hear about your diagnosis also. You probably, if you do have type 1 diabetes, it's developing very, very slowly. You would require insulin at this point if you did, but it just goes to show, you can develop type 1 diabetes at any age. It doesn't just happen in childhood or adolescence. It can happen in older adults as well. So keep a close watch on it. You don't want to go too long without insulin if you do need it.
Okay, we have a call coming in from Walter, and Walter is from California. Walter, you're on the line.
Thank you. I tend to walk and do a treadmill frequently, but I'm wondering, can I use weight to help get myself in better shape? I've started using exercise bands, and that tends to help a little bit, but I wonder, what about weight without hurting myself?
Hey, Walter, I'm assuming you are a guy. You sound like a guy, so I'm going to guess you are. Unless there's a physical reason that you shouldn't be lifting weight, then go for it. Check with your doctor beforehand. There aren't many reasons that would preclude somebody from doing resistance training with hand weights or using the Cybex type equipment that most gyms have. A real key is to start slowly, because if you try to push it and lift too much weight or do too many repetitions at the beginning, you can wind up really, really sore. And that's no fun for anybody. So it might knock you out of your program. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, the resistance bands can provide good strength training. But if you feel you want to take it up a notch and start using hand weights, you can certainly do it. And you can do it with household objects. They don't have to be actual weights that you buy at a store. And you can work virtually every part of your body just using hand weights. Ideally, you want to do between 10 and 15 repetitions of each exercise. So, if you're doing an overhead extension, for example, you would do that 10 times and rest and do another set of those 10 times. And the next time you do the exercises, you do 2 sets of 11 and 2 sets of 12. You build up to 15, and then you can increase your weight a little bit. It helps to keep things a little bit challenging for yourself. But you can ask your doctor if there's someone they can refer you to who can give you a workout plan. And if they don't, you can reach out to me. Carla can probably share my contact information. I can send you some workout log sheets and have descriptions of the different exercises that you can do on your own.
Great. Thank you. We have a question coming in from Linda. Linda Hiller from Virginia. You're on the line.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I have kind of a similar experience as Joe, where I was diagnosed as type 2, and then they ran a panel and found I was type 1. And in that time, it was kind of winter time, so I had been walking right after dinner while it was still light when I was type 2, just fine. But when I started on with the insulin, I would be halfway through my walk and have a low.
Mm.
And so my question is, what is, insulin makes you more sensitive. When is the best time from taking insulin, eating, and maybe just taking a walk? When's the best time so I don't necessarily have a low? Or do I take less?
That's a great question, Linda. I'm going on the assumption if you have type 1 diabetes that you're using both long-acting and short-acting insulin at meal times. Whatever insulin you take, it's going to bring your blood sugar down. When you add physical activity to the equation, it makes the insulin that you're taking work harder. It's sort of like an amplifier. It makes every unit of insulin work like 2 or 3 during the time you're doing that activity, and maybe for a little while afterwards also. So the best way to keep your blood sugar from dropping too low is to take less insulin. So if you're using a mealtime insulin and you're exercising after the meal, you would take less mealtime insulin. And that should help you to prevent a drop in your blood sugar. Not knowing the exact details of your workout, I can just tell you with most of my own patients, I tell them to start out by cutting their insulin dose in half. And we're just talking about the rapid acting mealtime insulin. Take half the usual dose if you're going to be active after the meal. If the activity is going to take place before a meal, the only insulin that's working at that time is your long-acting, what we call your basal insulin. It's not appropriate to cut the basal insulin because that stuff's working all day and all night long, not just while you're exercising. So what works better if you're active before a meal or between meals is to take some rapid-acting carbohydrate before you start the activity. So, for example, if I was going to go to the gym after work today, I might have a little bit of juice before I go. Obviously, I'm going to look at what my blood sugar is. If my glucose is pretty close to normal, I'll take some juice, and that'll help offset the energy I'm burning during the workout and keep my blood sugar from going too low. So that's your best approach. It depends on the timing of the activity. If the activity is after a meal, take less rapid-acting insulin at the meal. If the activity is before a meal, you're best off having some carbohydrates before the activity to prevent a drop. One interesting note, though, is that a lot of people find that if their activity is taking place first thing in the morning, the blood sugar doesn't drop as much as it would later in the day. So if you were to walk first thing in the morning, you may not need to eat anything beforehand. Your blood sugar may do just fine. Whereas if you did it after breakfast or before lunch, the blood sugar would indeed come down. The only way to know is to kind of experiment a little bit and see what happens if you try that. But if you want to avoid having to eat something before your activity, try doing it first thing in the morning.
Thank you. I have a question coming in online from John. He states, I just broke my patella and some toes. What am I supposed to do now for exercise?
When the going gets tough, the tough find alternative. I've had my share of injuries over the years. I'm coming off shoulder surgery, so I've been working on my lower body cardio. If you have lower extremity issues, there's still things you can do. There's an arm ergometer, like an arm crank that you can use. You can use the arm part of a dual action bike. You can do armchair exercises. Depending on whether you have any open wounds on your skin, you can get in the water with flotation devices, and you can just use your upper body to swim. So the thing is, you don't give up. So if your leg is out of shape, you work your arms, you work your torso. You can always find options if you look for them.
Great. And another question online, what does aerobic exercise do for glucose management?
Aerobic activity, which is another way of saying it's moderate intensity activity that's using big muscles. It gets your breathing, your respiration rate up a little bit. That's what makes it aerobic, so to speak. What that does is it helps make your body's cells more sensitive to insulin. So the insulin that's present in your body works more effectively. It doesn't matter if your body made the insulin or if you took it by injection. It works better when you are doing aerobic types of activities. The aerobic activity is also going to burn calories for you. Burn more calories, it helps you shed weight. When you lose body fat, that also helps improve the way your insulin works. So the blood sugars can come down long term as a result of that. And then there's a lot of other side effects in terms of improving heart function, the health of blood vessels, the level of cholesterol in the bloodstream. Those all improve with aerobic types of activities. So there's lots of ways that aerobic activity helps with diabetes management.
Great. We have a question coming in from Charisma. Charisma is from Virginia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, I'm 32. I've been diagnosed with, I guess, type 1 diabetes for 5 years now, and I've struggled trying to transition from being healthy to living a diabetic life. This year, I've been hospitalized 3 different times for a week each, and I think I'm starting to have like gastroparesis. So obviously, I'm trying to take my health more seriously, and I joined a gym membership. But my main question would be, if you're having insulin resistance, how should you work out? Because I've been staying around 200 this whole time.
Well, Charisma, I think it's fantastic what you're doing. I love the fact that you are not just settling for all the problems you've had and putting your head in the sand and thinking, well, woe is me. You're doing something about it. I'm really proud of you. More people need to do that. If your glucose levels are chronically elevated, if they're up around 200 and above most of the time, you really should talk to your doctor about adjusting your insulin doses. That's going to make you tired. It's going to take your energy away. It's going to make you hungry. So it really works against a lot of lifestyle improvements that you want to make for yourself. And getting your glucose in a healthy range is necessary to make positive lifestyle changes and stick to them. Now, that said, to make yourself more sensitive to insulin, like we've been talking about, aerobic activity is absolutely the way to go. There's nothing like that for improving the way your body utilizes the insulin that you're taking. But like we discussed with the last caller, it's important that you adjust your insulin if you're going to be active after you take the rapid acting insulin, or you take a snack before the activity if your blood sugar is close to normal. And if your glucose is 200 and you want to go for a walk, you're going to be fine. But if it's near normal, you're going to need a little bit of carb before that walk to offset what your body's burning during the activity. But keep at it. Even though you've developed some complications from your diabetes, there's no reason to think you're going to have to develop more or that it's going to have to get worse. You can't change what happened in the past, but you do have control over what's happening to you right now. So, manage your diabetes as best you can and keep up with these positive lifestyle changes. You'll do great.
Super. We have a couple of questions coming in about food, and I just want to refer you to our Ask the Experts event, September 12, where we'll be addressing a lot of that. Today, we're talking mostly about exercise, but I have some questions coming about food menus, etc. And please dial in on September 12, same time, same place, for discussion about nutrition. Okay, back to the exercise piece. I have a write-in from Jennifer, and she said, I have neuropathy and cannot feel my feet. I've tried swimming, but it's not for me. What other kinds of activities can I do?
Well, with neuropathy, when you can't feel things with your feet, it increases the risk for injuries, for falls, with any kind of activity where you're on your feet. Consider something called non-weight bearing activity. In other words, activities where you're not supporting your full body weight. That would include cycling. Cycling, whether it's stationary or outdoor cycling, places very little pressure on the feet. So that's a good one. Using a rowing machine would do the same thing. Water activities. It doesn't have to be swimming. It can be walking in the water. The water provides a lot of buoyancy. There's less pressure on the feet when you're in the water. You can kick laps. You can walk laps. It's different. Or you can take like water aerobics. You can do strength training activities where you're seated or lying down, not standing. It's the being on your feet for any extended periods of time that is probably best to avoid. But there's so many other options that you have. Just like the person who wrote in earlier who tore his patellar tendon and a foot ulcer. I mean, if you look, you can find options and you can keep active.
Great, thank you. Here's a question coming in from Sean, and Sean is from Georgia. Sean, you're on the line.
Hey, thank you so much for taking my call. I live a pretty active work lifestyle. I work at Amazon. It's about 4,000 square facility plus. Yeah. And I'm walking constantly. I log in at about 10 to 15,000 steps 5 days a week. But I've been already diagnosed with osteoporosis. And I'm concerned about like how do I get a balance? Because like the previous caller said with the rubber bands, I don't want to injure myself because I know that I'm susceptible to fracture, but I also want to do the weight training and I walk. I mean, I have to walk. I wish they had golf carts.
I'm glad they don't have golf carts. That's the kind of labor-saving thing that's killing us as Americans. Yeah, you have one of those rare occupations where you are getting a lot of physical movement, and that's
Yes.
fantastic. The first thing I was going to say was if you weren't already, put on a pedometer and see how many steps you're actually getting. So I've had patients who think they're getting activity at work and they wear the pedometer and they're getting like 500 steps a day. And I'm like, no, you're not getting enough activity. But if you're getting 10 to 15,000 steps a day, boy, that qualifies. The osteoporosis part, you are benefiting from the walking. Being on your feet does help stimulate bone density improvements. And strength training would do the same thing. You shouldn't be fearful of it. If you can get access to a gym of some kind, using the machines is relatively safe to do. But start with the least amount of weight possible. Even if you feel you can do more, you use the lowest weight increments you can when you're beginning, and you can gradually move up on that. But the strength training is a very effective way to help improve bone density, as is weight-bearing activity like walking.
So we have time for one more question, and this is coming from Terry, and Terry is from Pennsylvania. Terry, you're on the line.
Hi, I was wondering, I walk every day, maybe a half an hour, maybe 35 minutes, but I'm not, I can probably sing, let's say. So is that hard enough? And if it's not, should I not bother to walk? I mean, any walking's better than none, right? Or is it not really doing anything at all?
I couldn't quite hear what you said. You said you're walking about 30 minutes a day, and it kind of faded after that.
Oh, I could probably still sing. Let's say, so I'm not walking as hard as you're making it sound like we should. Will I still get benefit from that?
Where in Pennsylvania are you from?
South Pennsylvania.
Where?
Southern Pennsylvania.
Southern PA.
Southeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's probably pretty hilly where you are. But, yeah, I'm from Southeast Pennsylvania also. So what you're doing now, it's beneficial. You're certainly burning some calories. You may be improving your insulin sensitivity a little bit. I'm guessing it provides some relaxation for you. So it's good. You may not be getting a whole lot of cardiovascular benefit from it, though. For that, you should probably pick up the pace a little bit, make it a little bit more challenging for yourself. Swing your arms a bit while you do it. I'm not big on holding weights in your hands when you walk, because it changes just natural body movement, natural body mechanics get a little out of whack. But just pick the pace up a little bit to make it a bit more challenging for yourself. And not to the point that you're really out of breath, but just to the point that you feel like you're giving yourself a little bit of a challenge, and you would see additional benefit. You burn more energy that way, and heart and lungs and circulation would see some improvement too.
Okay. All right. So this wraps up our last question for the session. A few items before we close for today. Gary, could you give us 3 key takeaway points that we want to make sure our listeners take home?
Well, physical activity is powerful medicine for not just diabetes management, but a lot of other health issues, and just for feeling good. Don't think of it as work. Think of it as fun or play, or just being productive. Sometimes my workout is just working around the yard. That's my exercise, or playing with the kids, or going for a bike ride. You can have fun with these activities, and you can accomplish things. It doesn't have to be boring drudgery, no fun kind of stuff. But think of it as medicine for your diabetes. It is essential. It's necessary to be physically active for your insulin to work well. Without it, your blood sugar is going to be higher. You're going to require more medication or higher doses of medication to control your glucose levels. And you're on that slippery slope towards developing more health problems. But physical activity can reverse a lot of issues that we have now, and keep you healthy. And you can have fun doing it. Try to have fun while you do it.
Perfect. Thank you. To help you feel confident about your ability to manage your diabetes and heart health and kidney disease, we encourage you and your loved ones to talk to your doctor and dietitian about your risk for heart disease, stroke, and kidney disease. Go to nodiabetesbyheart.org and learn more. Register for the next event at diabetes.org/experts. Sign up for diabetes education near you, and sign up for the ADA's free Living with Type 2 Diabetes program. Links to these resources can be found on our registration webpage, diabetes.org/experts. Thank you for all of your great questions you called in and wrote in with. We are sorry we were unable to get to all of them during this live Q&A event. If you have questions about this event, you are welcome to contact us at askada@diabetes.org or by calling 1-800-DIABETES, which is 1-800-342-2383. Please stay on the line for our survey to help with future planning for our events. Thriving with Diabetes takes a team, and we're here to support you. Special thanks to our expert, Gary Shiner. I am Carla Cox, and on behalf of the ADA team, we want to thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to connecting with you at our next events. Join us for more KDBH events, July 11, Now What? Life After Diabetes Complications, and August 8, Lifestyle Choices Matter, How to Quit Bad Habits. Please visit our website for more information at diabetes.org/experts and register today. If you have any questions about this event, please email askada@diabetes.org. Include Ask the Experts Q&A in your subject line, and thank you for joining us. And now to our survey. Introduction to the survey. Thank you for participating in our ADA, American Diabetes Association Ask the Experts event. We hope you can stay online for the next 5 to 7 minutes to share your honest and valuable feedback to help us improve upcoming events. All responses will remain confidential. Please let us know your level of agreement with the following statements. Satisfaction. Question 1. This event met my expectations today. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. Again, question number 1. This event met my expectations today. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. If you feel you could use some support for managing your diabetes, check out the Living with Diabetes program, where you can receive information through email and e-booklets with tips on eating, physical fitness, and emotional health. Check out our registration page, diabetes.org/experts. On to question 2. I will attend another Ask the Experts event. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. Again, question number 2. I will attend another Ask the Experts event. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. You can find delicious and healthy recipes and menus to enhance your eating. Check out the website www.diabetesfoodhub.org. Okay, what did you learn today? This event, question number 3, this event improved my knowledge of being active for my health. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. Again, question number 3. This event improved my knowledge of being active for my health. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. Did you know that there are approximately 37 million people with diabetes? You are not alone. Question number 4. I intend to use the knowledge I gained in my loved one's next appointment with a healthcare professional. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. Again, question number 4. I intend to use the knowledge I gained in my loved one's next appointment with a healthcare professional. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. Keeping your glucose within target range of 70 to 180 milligrams per deciliter 70% or more of the time is the international recommendation for diabetes management. Consider asking your provider about getting a continuous glucose monitor to help you manage your glucose. Question number 5. Before this event, I felt confident talking to a healthcare professional about my loved ones or my increased risk of heart disease and stroke. Excuse me. For yes, press 1. Too much talking, I guess. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. Again, question number 5. Before this event, I felt confident talking to a healthcare professional about my loved one's increased risk of heart disease and stroke. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. Check out the heart disease risk calculator at https://www.cvriskcalculator.com and discover if you are at risk for heart disease. And our final question, question number 6. After this event, I feel confident talking to a healthcare professional about my loved one's increased risk of heart disease and stroke. For yes, press 1. For 2, press no. And for unsure, press 3. Question number 6, our last question. After this event, I feel confident talking to a healthcare professional about my loved one's increased risk of heart disease and stroke. For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. And for unsure, press 3. We sincerely appreciate your time and look forward to engaging with you on a future Ask the Experts event. Please visit diabetes.org/experts to learn more about upcoming events. Thank you and goodbye.